Good afternoon. Hey, welcome to Unstoppable Agents. We're really glad that you are here, and you will be too by the end of this show. Unstoppable Agent is the place that real estate agents come to build an unstoppable business, build an unstoppable wealth, and build an unstoppable life of impact.
A conscious effort of treating it like a work platform and really interacting with people. And if it's someone that I personally know that's been in their home, or just someone that I know is very well connected and I'm not seeing them on my Facebook, then they're probably not seeing me. So I will look for them on there, find their profile, interact with a couple of their things so that I can rejig that algorithm again.
I'm your host, Brian White. I'm a local North Texas realtor, and what's going to be fun today is I've got another North Texas realtor. So we got a North Texas thing going on. It's going to be great. I'm excited to invite Kirstine Openshaw to the show. So Kirstine, thanks for joining me.
Hello, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. We're just starting. We were just chatting a little bit ahead of time, and congratulations, you just celebrated your 1-year anniversary. You just moved over to EXP back in October, so high five on that. And high five on hitting the Icon Award, and which is the highest thing you can do at EXP. Congratulations, high five on that. Yeah, it's good. I'd love to know, obviously, you got a little bit of an accent, so you're not from North Texas. I may have a little bit of an accent from North Texas as well, but you're not. So tell us about you.
Yeah, so originally I am from England. My husband's also from England, and then we moved to Texas. I moved to Texas in 2006, and then my husband, I shipped him over in 2016 to be here permanently.
Okay, awesome. So it's not like you just got here. You've been here for a little bit of a while now.
Yes, yeah, my accent's kind of watered down. My husband's is absolutely not. His is crazy thick. So people usually, if we're stood next to each other, they'll think I'm from here, and then they'll ask him all about, oh, where are you from? And I get to kind of sit back and enjoy the show.
Oh, that's great. So were you an estate agent in the UK, or so tell us that story. How'd you get started? I guess what caused you to move? And then what caused you to jump into real estate?
I was not in real estate in England. I actually wanted to be, and I applied. The way they do real estate in England is super different to here. I actually applied to a couple. They're like brick and mortar offices where you only deal with the listings you have, and you only have the buyers on those listings. There's no buyer's agency or anything like that. And I applied to several places, couldn't get hired on, and then eventually decided to move to Texas for the weather and horses. I do a lot with horses, with dressage. And moved over here. I actually married a guy that I met the day after I arrived, and shock horror, that did not work out, and who would have known. And then a couple years later, we moved to Weatherford, which is where we're at now in Parker County. And the market was great here. It just seemed like a really good time with changing our surroundings and everything else to get into real estate and get that boat moving. Took my license at the end of 16, and it's just been going from there.
You've been on a great run the last couple of years. So I would like to know, we're not going to go deep on this, don't have to spend a lot of time on this, but what did your real estate career look like? Like, where'd you get started? What, you recently made a change not a little over a year ago. So what caused that change? Tell me a little about that.
Yeah, when I first got started, the lady that sold us this house that we're in now, our first house in Weatherford, she was with Keller Williams. And so she invited me to one of their events. I got recruited to start at Keller Williams. I liked the idea of their training. My goal had been to be with them for 2 years to utilize all the training. And then from there, I had a goal of just switching to maybe more of a boutique brokerage with the idea that I could learn a little bit more about the niche aspect of the community and that kind of thing. Once I got going with Keller Williams, life got crazy. I stayed with them for 3 years because we ended up having a kid, which of course completely upends your life and got nuts.
Throw everything up in the air. You're like, what in the world?
Yes. And then, I don't know if you can see my logo or not, but he's a heart kid. So he was born with half a heart. He has a heart condition. So we ended up going through multiple heart surgeries with him. So life just got like super crazy. So 3 years into being licensed, I actually switched to a transaction brokerage. I had the idea that would be cheaper and I'd have a bit more freedom. And funny how that happens. That's not true. That's not how that worked. It ended up costing me a lot. And it was between the transaction brokerage and EXP. And because life was nuts, I never sat down with anybody at EXP and went, please tell me about it. I just wrote it off with the rhetoric that it was about recruiting. And I'm a people person, but I'm not very good at that aspect. I just like to just do my thing. And if they want to do the same thing as me, come on, let's do it. I'll help you all the way. but I'm not very big and good at presenting in that era.
Sure. Yeah.
Went into the transaction brokerage for, I think I was there for 2 years. Yeah, because it's 5 now, so 2 years. Figured out when I actually slowed down enough to do my taxes at the end of the year, figured out how much that would cost me, and not just in the fees, but just in other things that I wasn't expecting. And then I sat down with a gentleman that was with me at Keller Williams for the couple of years there. He had transitioned his whole business to EXP, and I was like, wait a minute, if you've made that change, there's obviously something to it. I need to talk to you, because he was huge on the Kool-Aid, huge. So I was like, what just happened? Because you were all about this other team and now you're over here. So I had a couple of Zooms with him and I was like, yeah, this just makes sense.
It's true that people join people. And whether it's about a brokerage or about a better, for most people, it's not about a better split. For most people, it's about culture, it's about training, it's about being in an environment that works for them. Fascinated. I'd love to dive a little bit deeper on just the transaction brokerage piece, because we do hear that, and certainly Fathom. I don't know if it was Fathom.
Fathom. Yes.
Okay. So they're a big name transactional brokerage in our area in North Texas. So you don't have to say anything, and I wouldn't want you to say anything negative about any one place or the other, but what was it that made a transactional brokerage so expensive?
I know compared to some teams and some agents, solo or team, I don't do as much volume as them. But for me, I felt like I did a lot of volume just being a one-man band at that time. And it really was just every single transaction having such a cost. The total on its own was expensive. Okay. Then when I added in other issues, like there were things I didn't know about, like if you did double-sided, then you were charged differently. And there was just lots of little things that at the time I was like, oh, a couple $100 here, a couple $100 there, not a huge deal. I'm not very good with numbers. At the end of the year, when my tax consultant was like, hey, let me see all your brokerage fees, and I showed them, I was like, wait a minute, that's a really big number. Why is it that number, $100 a transaction? And then I had several over the couple years issues where the community, the training, the support, it cost me several $1,000s because it wasn't there. And it's not so much that I didn't know what was happening in the transaction. It was just that even though something was happening and I knew that our clients were in the right, or we were protected by the contract and the way things were written, not necessarily the co-op agent wasn't really keeping their side of the bargain or keeping things clean. Had clients lose earnest money when they shouldn't have and things like that, just because I needed someone from the brokerage to reach out to the individual owner, broker, agent, all the things. I just needed a phone call from someone that wasn't me, that they would have respected and gone, oh, yeah, you do know what you've written in the contract. Your client is entitled to this. And it just ended up adding up, snowballing, even down to, I'm at like 14 months at EXP. I just got paid for my last transaction at Fathom like 2 months ago that closed while I was with Fathom.
Wow. And obviously you come to realize, folks watching may not, but we get paid at the table. Like we get paid the same day. If you want to have your money wired from the title company directly into your, you pay the same-day funds.
Yeah, and that's how it's supposed to work there. It is not, because if you don't have the money to pay individuals to do a certain role efficiently and effectively, and that's not getting done. To get a CD, I switched over to EXP and I had CDAs ready like 2 weeks before closing. And I was like, what is that? What are they doing? We're not closing yet.
And you've got a team of brokers that are available to help. Brokers come to the title company. I've had brokers meet with clients. When you do a lot of volume, you break a lot of things. That's just the way it works.
A little bit of a tornado as you go through life when you've got a lot going on.
Sounds like it's been a great fit for you, and we're glad to have you. Your business is thriving. So tell me, so where does your business come from? You've been in business for a while and you do a great job, so you probably have some repeat and referral in there, but I mean, what's your biggest lead gen source?
So we get, like, our number one is like past clients, repeat clients, referrals, kind of all those lumped in together. And we're very happy about that because we're not from here, so we didn't have a big sphere to start with, and we don't really have very many niches that we're a part of. So we love that that's our number one. Our number two, I would say, is Facebook, both social, and then here more recently in the last few months, advertising on Facebook as well. Okay, awesome. So first, let's talk about the advertising on Facebook piece. So what does that look like? What kind of ads are you running? Who are you targeting? Tell me about that. Yeah, our listing ads are our most successful, especially here lately. New construction ads are doing really well because people are very aware that the building issues has calmed down and it's not as competitive. And so people are very interested in the incentives that builders are offering and all that good things so that they can get a deal. So they're going over really well. And it's just really just kind of incentivizing, hey, I've got the hookup on what's the best builder incentives right now. Click here for info. And of course, that's a good hook.
Great.
They're interested in it. And then just as always, you're just your listing promotions. So you get a couple of good listings, get the right pictures, get the right wording in there where you get that lean in. We get a lot of people saying that they're holding and waiting, but we do a lot of video education where we're sending out videos to just try to educate people on the market and that it is still a really good time to buy, even though they think rates are up.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Well, even rates have come down the last several weeks is one thing. The other is when you've got a ton of options and a ton of choice, then you can get a better deal on the front side. So you can always refinance and you can always work through that and make it a better deal for you long term. That's awesome. So in your Facebook ads, are you going to a Facebook landing page? Are you using KV Core and the landing pages in that? Or are you doing your own? Tell me about a conversion piece.
We do a lot of our own. Honestly, I try to keep as many people on the page as possible for the retargeting aspect so that I can just keep them seeing our stuff on Facebook. If they're already on there, I try to keep them on the exact same platform and not try to move them because it works. Whatever they're on is what they like. So honestly, I try to keep them in there as much as possible. I am naughty, I guess, because I don't use KV Core. I use a different CRM. I actually was offered KV Core at Fathom back when Fathom offered it for free. It's not free there anymore, but now when I left, I actually was having some issue getting access to my KV Core in the transition. So I just went to a different, and I've just stayed there. But I use all the landing pages on that website and Facebook, and I don't know that any of that really plays a role in it, so long as they see the initial ad on Facebook where that retargets it automatically for you.
Yeah, no, that's good. And I really think there's a lot of wisdom in keeping them on the platform they're on because it's faster, it's immediate, so that they like that.
Yeah.
Facebook does a great job of, it already has people's information, so it captures it.
Yes.
So you get assuming they loaded the right information, it's as accurate as you're going to get. If they want to spoof you, they're going to do that anyway.
Exactly.
So,
yeah. And if they're going to do that, then they've either had a terrible experience with another agent, is how I look at it, or they're probably saving you some heartache and some difficulty. So I don't worry too much about those.
Love the people that will include curse words or like creative stuff and just totally thank you. That's awesome. Because I don't want to work through that with you either. So we've got a mutual thing going on. It's great.
Yeah, or they'll fill it in with fake information, which is all curse words, and then it's hilarious because if they've done that at 10 o'clock at night, all the emails get sent first thing in the morning through my CRM automatically, and these emails are hysterical. I'm like, oh man, I hope they didn't put. And I've had one time where they put this sweet old lady's name on there, and she's like, "You are texting me the most obscene message." I was like, oh my god. So I called her. I was like, listen, I know you said stop. And I called her off my number, not my CRM number. I was like, listen, here's what happened. Someone used your number. And she was like, I did wonder who on earth would talk to me. Like, she was like 74 years old. I felt terrible, so I had to call her and explain, I am not trying to curse you out. It's 8 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. What a great story. Okay, so that's one piece. You mentioned something that I think not enough people do, and not enough people do well, and that's retargeting. So what are you doing? So who do you retarget? How do you do that? And just kind of walk us through your retargeting process, why you do that and what.
Really, I just let Facebook do its thing, and I load the ads and I tell it that I want it to be retargeted. And then in the ad section, you can tell Facebook, like, I want them to see these things first, and then I want them to be retargeted and see these things, and so on. And it'll really do all the hard work for you. So I don't know a whole lot about their back end. I just do whatever I can on the front end. I have a Facebook rep that I call, and if something's just not performing, I talk with her and just say, listen, this is what I want it to do. Why is it not doing this? And then I act inept enough that she goes, let me just fix it for you. I'm like, okay, thank you. Because I could go down a rabbit hole, and I don't have time to go down a rabbit hole. So
that's great. That's super smart. So let's talk social, right? So that's advertising, and it's really has nothing to do with social. It just happens to be a part of Facebook's business platform. So what are you doing on social to generate community, create community, and
really, it's just really interacting with posts. I try to, if I see life events, I try to send them a card with that image. Like, we utilize like AM cards or any of the there's tons of those sorts of websites out there. Where you just grab the picture and send it to them as your happy birthday or congrats on the birth of your child or whatever. If they bought another home, even with another agent market because I didn't know that they were buying or selling, I still send them a congrats card so that they are aware. And then now they're going to definitely be on my monthly follow-up because they'll probably move again in 2 or 3 years. So I want to be there for that. So yeah, I just really try to interact with a lot of people. I try to do a lot of interactive posts so that they are seeing my things, because our first kid, everybody knew about him because we were having so many health issues with him. Or we just had a second one who also had some health stuff, but not anywhere near as much as my eldest. And I just met with a friend a couple of weeks ago and she's like, I didn't even know you had, we turned up with the baby. I was like, here, look who this is. And she's like, whose kid is that? I'm like, oh, he was just down the road. I just found him. And she's like, what? I'm like, you didn't know we had another kid? And she had no idea, because Facebook will hide you if you don't interact with people enough. It's just making a conscious effort of treating it like a work platform and really interacting with people. And if it's someone that I personally know that's been in their home, or just someone that I know is very well connected and I'm not seeing them on my Facebook, then they're probably not seeing me. So I will look for them on there, find their profile, interact with a couple of their things so that I can rejig that algorithm again.
You said, so there's a lot of really good stuff in there. If you're watching this, I'd encourage you to back up and just watch that little section again. No, it was brilliant. It was brilliant. If you're watching this, hit like, because you had to have liked. That was great. One of the things you said there is so great, and people often, real estate agents take, and the first thing that I would say is offense is taken, not given. Whoever it is on the other side that bought a home with somebody else, used somebody else to sell their home, they didn't mean to offend you. Right? It wasn't their goal. So it's just you took offense. They didn't mean to offend you. Had you done a better job of educating them, of communicating with them, of staying in front of them, then they certainly would have used you, because they weren't trying to offend anyone. They were trying to serve themselves the best that they possibly could. Exactly. I love what you did, because you're adopting, there's this idea of the orphan buyer, or really adopting other people's buyer. There's, in Texas, and I think probably across the country, there's an idea that you can't market to somebody else's client. That's true, and you shouldn't. But as soon as they close on that transaction, they are no longer someone's client, and they are fair game. So there's no reason that you shouldn't try to adopt them and just serve them. Just care for them. And so great job on that. I love the heart behind it. And
all the people they know. It's not a case of it's only them and, they're not going to buy or sell for 4 or 5 years. Because they're in that zone, same thing as the whole examples of in the car, when you're buying a car and now you see that car, they're in that zone if they've just moved. When they post on their Facebook or they're complaining about the first thing that breaks in their house, everybody else that's buying or selling right now is interacting with them, and they might turn around and go, I haven't even heard from my agent, but this friend is a real estate agent, and now you're segued into a referral straight away.
Yep, it's terrific. It really is you've got to be the one they think of when they need it, when the time's right. So there's just so many things that have to come together. That's terrific. I'm excited for you. I'm excited for the way that you run your business and the success that I know that you're going to have. Thank you for joining me today. Are there any parting thoughts or comments you want to leave our audience with?
I would say it's a little bit of a weird market right now. And I know I've had a lot of realtors call me that are struggling or just feeling that tightening up of our buyers being cautious right now. But if you look at it objectively and don't let the emotions get ahead of you, it's just like it was pre-COVID. It's not a bad market. It's exactly the same as it was 2.5, 3 years ago. So don't freak out about that. Like now we have 30 to 60 days on market. Like normal, like a normal market. Like it's not the end of the world. I have listing agents calling me absolutely chewing my ear off because my buyer didn't want their listing. And I'm like, okay, I know we're used to buyers walking in and writing an offer before they leave the house and it being like 4 days to a closing, no contingencies. I get that that's what we've just gotten used to, but that's not sustainable for forever. So I would say, if you're listing homes or you have buyers that are being cautious, it's just the same as it was a couple years ago. Don't worry about that and just stick with them and don't try to pressure them, because I have inherited a lot of buyers recently that were feeling pressure off their agent to just buy something and just do it now. No education on why it's a good time, no education or grace really on the fact that they're about to spend several $100,000s on something and sign a huge payment commitment. So Don't let that cloud. Yes, I understand we get paid at closing, but don't let that cloud how you're treating your people.
Well, so that's great. And it's a great way to wrap up, because commission breath is bad. And the thing that I would tell anybody that has commission breath is you need to work harder and you need more deals, because more deals solves commission breath. You have commission breath when you don't have enough. And when you need that one buyer, and if you ever need a buyer to buy a house, then you need to work a lot harder to find more deals, because that's not fair to them or you. It's a bad deal for you too. So all the way around. So that's a terrific way to close. Kirstine, thank you for joining me today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Hey, thank you for joining today. If you'd like to learn more about EXP, about what we're doing here, or just have a conversation about how we build your business, we'll leave a link in the description, and I look forward to talking to you soon.